The utmost, most important thing I usually do is that I never think about monetization at all. So what I do in business development my entire life is that I just make friends. And then after you are friends with someone, it's a pleasure to do business together as well, because if you go well with someone as a friend, usually it means it also like understand each other and also you trust each other. So also doing business is much, much easier than if you were a stranger.
Hey, this is Mike from IntroStars, and today we're very excited to bring you a brand new episode of the Super Connectors podcast in London. Now, this is a very special episode. We've tried to shoot this episode in 3 different cities. It never worked out because today our guest is a truly global super connector. Dennis Fino from Bratislava in Slovakia, but spends a lot of his time in the US. So we keep running into each other in different cities in the US and in London. And today I'm so excited to bring you Dennis here on the show. Dennis, so good to see you.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me here. Thank
so
you.
Cool that we met initially in London, then we missed each other in New York, then we got to catch up in South by Southwest in Austin, and now we're back in London. So like the whole world is our oyster.
The loop closed. I mean, like this is how it works. I mean, we just got back to the beginning where it all began.
Okay. Exactly. So Dennis, tell us, how did you become a super connector in Europe, in London, in the US? Tell us kind of the origin story of Dennis the super connector.
Thank you. I think it began when I was just a little kid, playing with toys and cars and Barbies and everything all the time. And I enjoyed reading books, like until I was like 13, probably. But then I realized that I also like having friends because I was always sociable. I always liked people, but I didn't have that many friends. Like after school, I usually went home and then I read books because I enjoyed my calm and quiet time at home. But then I started going out with my friends, and I think that's when that was my moment of realization that I really need and love to socialize with people. So I started to, network since I was, 13, 14. And then I landed my first job. I started to be an entrepreneur. And then I just did the same thing. Just we weren't playing with cars and Barbies, but with, signing papers and getting introductions to each other. So it was a natural thing for me. And now, I understood who I am after a career in marketing and branding, which I still work in a little bit. I realized I love and I belong into business development, and for business development, doing introductions and making introductions in general is the most important thing to, do the business.
Of course, and same as you, I said my career as in business development, going to 1 million networking events, introducing people to each other, and I kind of understood that's the way you do business development the right way, which is not doing cold calls and cold emails, but instead actually meeting people in person and making as many introductions as you can for them. And of course, they send you introductions as well. So it's kind of this perfect, a virtuous circle of introductions. So tell us, what kind of introductions do you make today on a day-to-day basis? What kind of events do you go to? What introductions do you make for other people?
When people understood I have plenty of connections, they kind of, rely on me, on Dennis being the connector, the super connector. So if they have any problem, if they have any need, I'm not saying I'm the only one they call, of course, because I'm not a plumber. I'm not a do-it-yourself guy at all, but I have a lot of friends. So when usually someone needs someone, oh, Dennis, do you know someone who works at this particular company? I might need an introduction because I need funding for my NGO project, something like that, the charity, whatever it is. So I just give the number, I just do the introduction through email, I do a WhatsApp introduction, iMessage introduction, whatever introduction it can be, but they usually call me because they have a need they need to solve. And what makes me super happy about connecting people and being a super connector, and you came up with this term, to be honest, because I wasn't calling myself a super connector.
I mean, I didn't invent the term. Everyone calls themselves super connector, but maybe I brought it to your attention. Yeah. It's now in this zeitgeist of today. Everyone's calling themselves a super connector, but maybe it was not obvious to you. Even if
it was not obvious.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I'm a super connector. So now people just call me and they need, and what makes me super happy about connecting people, I wanted to finish this sentence. is that people are happy after the connection works out. So there is a win-win situation, and I never do any like win and lose connections, because I usually know those people, like both of them, and I understand why I should do the introduction or why I shouldn't do the introduction. So usually when I think they are not a great match, personally or business-wise, whatever it is, I usually don't do the introduction because I don't feel it that way.
Obviously, it reflects on your personal brand, your reputation. Every introduction you make is really putting your reputation on the line. So, of course, when focus on good ones, that makes sense. Now, even though I brought that term super connector, to your attention, it's kind of obvious. You're clearly, qualify as a super connector. But what does it actually mean for you? If you hear that word super connector, what do you think that actually means? What is the true definition in your eyes?
I was talking about this topic with a few friends of mine, and I asked them the exact same question, and they were like, "Oh, it sounds fabulous. It sounds like you are somehow and someone really, like special and high profile and stuff like this." And they didn't understand quite well what does it mean, like who is a super connector. So you can make living out of making connections, or you are just people. You are just a person who knows a lot of people. Or like, what's the case in this case? So I explained them, I was a natural super connector way before I knew the term. So I was, doing good things. I was participating in a lot of NGO activities. I was supporting anti-COVID-19 campaigns, like to promote the vaccination rates in Europe, in Slovakia especially. So I was like this way before. And when you work on things and projects that put you together with a lot of people, you become friends. So NGOs are actually a great example, because if you work for the same good cause, like 30 people, team of 30 people or volunteers, you all instantly become friends, because you need to call each other. Oh, Mike, did you do this? And then Angela, did you do that? So you just cooperate, and then you have like 30 friends from that project and 30 acquaintances that you can then connect with other people. So this was to me like a natural thing. That's why I also understood I'm a super connector, because I was making the connections way before I knew about the term.
And obviously, it's not just bringing two people together. You're talking about bringing 30 people together. So usually a super connector, creating a whole team and really project managing that team. So it's bringing super connection to a whole new level of building a whole team of people. But tell us more in your day-to-day life today. How do you monetize this? Because obviously you want to help people, you want to elevate your personal brand, you want to elevate your reputation, you work in business development. So how do you walk that fine line between connecting great people together and helping them, and also monetizing for yourself? How do you monetize this?
I never think about monetizing any connections. That's the first rule, number one, and the most important thing I usually do is that I never think about monetization at all. So what I do in business development my entire life is that I just make friends. So that's my rule number one, the most important one. And then after you are friends with someone, it's a pleasure to do business together as well, because if you go well with someone as a friend, usually it means it also, like understand each other, and also you trust each other. So also doing business is much, much easier than if you were a stranger. So usually if I feel it that way, if I know that, for example, you, Mike, you have a need to meet someone that I know, and you know that I know the person, I do the connection, because if I believe they're a great match with you, I just do that. So I'm not, specifically monetizing in that I think about it. Like it's usually a win-win. And if there is any commission associated, like if I work for a company that sponsors me or pays me for the connections, I usually tell the people I do it, like for a commission, or there is something like that associated. But usually it's business development is something else. Like introductions are just one part of it. So usually it's also connected to different kind of work that I do for the companies that I work with. So
as a consultant.
Like a consultant. So it's a part of consultancy work.
Correct.
Exactly.
But obviously, when you look at monetization, if you work in business development, there's two sides of monetization. One, if you help others, you elevate your personal brand, you make friends, as you just said. At some point, you need to get business. You need to obviously close deals, and obviously you'll earn money that way. But then sometimes you help other people close deals by bringing them customers. and then I guess you get a commission on that. Is that correct?
Sometimes, what I do in my daily life now, I'm also a partner in a branding agency. We've been working on large projects for large companies all around the world. But after that, I realized I asked one question. It was one of the most important questions that I ever asked to myself. Dennis, what do you like the most about your branding work? And the answer completely changed my mind and blew my mind because it was business development. So then I understood I know how to do branding, I know how to position brands and customer brands and personal brands, but it has to be just one part of what I do. And I need to focus on business development. So now what I do is that I help European tech companies expand to United States. That's why I spent quite some time in the US as well as in Bratislava or all around Europe and now in London, of course, obviously, because we are shooting the podcast here. Branding and positioning became just one part of my job because when a company comes to me from European Union and they need to expand, I also have to adapt their consumer brand or personal brand of the founder to the American audience, to cater American audience better than European, because usually the brands communicate differently in the US and in Europe. So now what I do is that I help these companies expand, and it depends on who I work with. So your original question was if there is any commission associated with my work. Sometimes I'm on retainer, so I just do this, connections and business development activities included in the retainer. And sometimes when I see any potential with a commission, I usually tell those people, oh guys, I would like to connect you because I think it's a win-win, but I will probably have a commission. That's one option for me. And the second option is that sometimes if I love those people, if they are like truly my great friends, I tell them I can give you a discount in the form of the commission. So if I am getting a retainer from a company I work with in Europe, I can then give that friend my commission in a form of discount. So I give them the commission.
So obviously transparency is so important. The fact you disclose it openly, and that's a very open approach, right? Which works very well. Some people love to disclose, some people don't in terms of commissions. But the fact you do it super openly, clearly that elevates your personal brand as well as someone people can trust, right? Because you're very open about it. But the other question I have is, obviously you're based in Slovakia and Bratislava. How did you build your network from scratch in the US and in London? Like, obviously you don't live here. How do you manage to build this global community of connections and open doors for other companies who want to follow your footsteps? Because obviously, as a foreigner coming to US or London, how do you start a network from scratch? And I'm sure lots of people watching this podcast are in the same situation where they start from zero. Like, how do you build this mega network and become a super connector? So how did you do that?
That's a great question, actually. What helps you the most is not just the talent, but being a social butterfly. If you genuinely love being among people and you are genuinely interested in people's stories, that helps you a million. So I think this is the most important thing to have, to be. If you are super introverted, you will probably never become a person with a huge network because you have to contribute to the network. Unless you are a super intelligent scientist that just developed some anti-cancer treatment. Okay, people will want to talk to you at that time, but if you are not, probably you really need to go out to the world and you have to talk to people. So as I mentioned, I worked at like 5 big national NGO projects with people. So if we count, on average 30 people working for one project, is like 150 people just from the NGO world. And then, of course, you do business. So you meet your clients, because I was starting from zero with my company when I was 18. Now I'm 34. So I was connecting with a lot of people because I needed clients. So originally I was a copywriter. That was the beginning of my career. And then, I had to look for clients. So I was approaching tons of people. Hey guys, I would like to write for you. I'm a talented guy, blah, 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 blah.
And this was in person or was it online? Like, how did you start that?
It was a combination. I found some events in Bratislava, of course, the first month, because it was so close. So it was like university events. It was like some early business events that we had in Bratislava. Bratislava is not like the central of the world. the capital city of the world, of course. So
How many people live there?
around 500K inhabitants.
500,000 people.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, around approximately. So it's not like it's not like New York, of course, or London or cities like this. So of course there is less possibilities there. But I'm the living example that you can also do that from a smaller city. Maybe not a village, of course, because if it's like too small, you can't do anything. But if it's like mid-size capital or a city like Bratislava, you can easily do that and use it as a base for your next connections that you're gonna gather throughout the world. So back to your question. So I started attending events. I was approaching clients. I worked on a lot of NGO projects. So three important things, and then also being a social butterfly, and also being a member and help, not just like, not just for a good cause. I mean, like to support anti-COVID-19 vaccination campaign, but also support groups of people. So, for example, I'm still volunteering at the organization called Slovak Pro. It's an organization that connects the most successful Slovaks living in the US and beyond. Now we are also expanding to London. We are opening a chapter here. So you are more than welcome, even if you're not a Slovak. So
The Slovak diaspora, how many Slovaks are there in the US and London? It's like a big community, I guess. Like the Slovak mafia, really. So you're the head of the Slovak mafia. I love it.
I'm also half Italian. I'm coming from Apulia, so that's Italian mafia. But there is a lot of Slovaks living in the US, in Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in those areas, and also in the UK in general. I mean, there is a lot of Slovaks. I don't have specific numbers. Of course, it's not as big as Polish, because Poland is a much larger country. But when you compare percentages of people living in Slovakia versus in London or the US in general, the number is astonishing. So
basically, your advice for people who want to go out there and build their network from scratch is see if there's communities of people from the same ethnic background or country where they can connect, and that's the starting point, right? Sounding board, yeah.
When someone wants to enter and expand to a foreign market, the most important thing is not just being a social butterfly, because you have to go there and talk to people. You have to go to a conference in New York and you just have to talk. You can't be standing like this there and eating pizza. You know, they have pizza at all of this like tech events. So you just eat pizza. You have to talk. You have to go. If you see three people behind the table, you know, like the standby table, and they are eating pizza, you have to go grab your piece, your slice, and go there and join them and tell them, "Hi, I'm Dennis. What are you up to? Who are you? Why are you here? How is your pizza?" You can even ask questions like this. And then, as you said, communities work wonders. So you have to find communities that work for you. For example, if you are a Slovak, of course, it's natural to come and join some Slovak diaspora. You can Google them, you can LinkedIn them. Nowadays, it's super easy. Imagine people who went to US like 40 years ago. They didn't have chance. They had to know someone from the community already, and that person could be the super gatekeeper, the super connector, and that person would connect them with other members of the diaspora. But now you can just Google, you have plenty of information. So now it's so easy that I'm just, I just don't understand why people don't use these streams that much. Also, if you are from the LGBTQI plus, community, you can just Google for local, communities there. You can just go hang out with people of your orientation, and they also have their jobs. They already have their networks because they live in New York, in London, in Berlin. Or if you are a scientist, you can do the same thing with scientists. You can do the same things with...
So basically, find your tribe, find your community, join that, and that's a great starting point, for sure.
Exactly. You can have multiple even.
You know what? The other way to do it is to meet other super connectors, because obviously these people, by definition, know everyone. So if you're a super connector, or not yet a super connector, you're on your path, you would like to be a super connector, but you start from zero, go and meet other super connectors, right? And so where do you meet super connectors? Well, at events, obviously networking events, or just go to LinkedIn and type super connector as a search term, and you're going to find 10,000 results, and super connectors by nature love to meet new people, right? So
I have to put it on my LinkedIn, by the way. I don't have it there.
Well, after this show, you can put that you're being a guest on this show. And we're going to do a bunch of events. And by the way, anyone who's looking at this episode right now, if you want to join a community of super connectors, you can obviously join introstars.com, which is our platform for super connectors. And we're opening it up to the whole world. So you can join Dennis and other super connectors and start your journey as a super connector. So let's go back to the introductions you make. As a super connector, you love to connect people. But how do you track that? Do you have like an Excel spreadsheet? Do you use LinkedIn? Do you have any system? Like, how do you track all the introductions you make and receive to see if there's an impact, if a deal gets closed? Do you track or not at all? Like, how does it work for you?
Great question, and it's a little bit humiliating because I don't have any. I, I use Pipedrive from time to time because some of my clients use Pipedrive, so I have to follow, their rules, of course. So when there is a deal, like an ongoing deal, I have to write it there, like the status of it, what kind of money are we talking about, how many calls did I have with them already, and stuff like this, etc. But my personal connections usually, for example, yesterday I was on a call with my friend, and she is. I'm now in the process of obtaining O1 visa to work and live in the US. And she also is in the same process, but a few steps earlier than me. So she needs, some advice, how to prepare for it, because I already talked to my lawyers for hours, etc. So I was supposed to do free introduction for her. And as I was on the call, I just wrote it down in my notes app on my notebook. So this is my system.
You need a notebook.
Yeah, my notebook, my
you don't
PC.
track introductions. You don't track introductions. Yeah, and you make so many introductions for the companies you're helping, for your clients, for other business partners. Imagine if you had tracked all those introductions over time. That'd be like hundreds and hundreds of introductions. Many of them probably turned out in large deals, like 50 grand deal, 100 grand deals. Who knows? If you're not tracking, you will never know, right? Unless people tell you. So I think it does make a big difference if you track. It's not about the money. It's more about just for your own information. So, I made 100 introductions. 16 of them turned into $1 million deal. It's good to know that, right? It also elevates your personal brand and your reputation, your social proof. You can even put that on your LinkedIn profile. Hey, I made 62 introductions, which closed $1 million deals. That's going to help you, no matter what you do in life. So tracking makes a big difference, I think.
Exactly. And also it can help you land a great job or a great opportunity to make more money, because if you use this data when you talk to a potential client that wants to expand to US or wherever, usually they are looking for data because there is a lot of people who they just talk. Oh, I know that guy. I know another guy. I know this super high profile woman from the US, from, I don't know, national TV. But they just don't do anything. They just don't deliver. They over promise and they just under deliver, or they don't deliver at all. And you end up paying huge retainers just on promises of bringing some new contacts, but they don't bring anyone. And if they do, it's just like a small talk conversation. So it would be great to have something like this. Another thing, I think the most important thing is to make people start tracking it, because, you get into the loop of, like you always tell to yourself, oh, I will start from tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And then you do another introduction, another. And you know that you made like 500 introductions. And then you're like, oh, I'm screwed for the rest of my life, because I don't have time to write down all of these 500 introductions retrospectively. So this is, I think, what is preventing people from starting, because they know they have plenty of data already, but they just don't want to, like spend, I don't know, like 30 hours writing down all of these introductions to look through notes and messages and emails and everything.
The best time to start is now. Start right now. Obviously tools to help you track introductions will be very useful, for sure. Let's talk about community. When you talk about super connectors, it's all about building community, managing community. And you talked about being part of communities like minorities, LGBTQ plus communities, people from your country, from your ethnic background, from different interest groups. So are you part of many communities now? Because obviously you're an international man of connections, whether it's Bratislava, London, New York, Chicago, Silicon Valley, I guess. So all these areas have different communities, and well, I'm trying to be part of all these communities. I travel all the time, and I want to build community and bring people together, super connectors, right? So how do you join new communities? Do you just like find them online? Do you get introduced? Do you introduce other people to communities? Tell us more about that.
Usually there is one super connector involved. So you were mentioning super connectors before. So in my, like game terminology or game dictionary, I could call these people like normal people have like 1 point, and super connectors you can get like 20 points for that special, it's like special level because those people they don't just have a huge network because those I don't want to call them like basic people, but people who don't like to do introductions, for example, they might also have a great big network of people, but they just don't use it. They don't feel comfortable doing that, or maybe they just don't want. They are not. It's not natural to them. But the super connectors, they are willing, not just willing to do that. They are happy to do that. So if you stumble upon a super connector, super networker, they will move you much further than a person with a huge network but not willing to do any connections. So usually when I was involved in different communities, for example, my Slovak friend from Silicon Valley introduced me to her Italian friend who was like a big part of Silicon Valley's Italian startup economy. So a Slovak connected me to an Italian, and also I'm half Italian. So we were talking in Italian, of course. So I just blended in there because it felt natural to me. I could talk with them. I could, we had the same issues, same problems to talk about. So usually I would recommend people to find someone who is a super connector themselves, and they will introduce you to other. You can just ask them, hey, John, do you know anyone like, I don't know, any LGBTQI people from here in the area? Oh, yes, I know. I have a great friend, blah, blah. They just do the first introduction. Then you go grab a coffee with that person. And then if you like each other, if you like to become friends, then they will naturally introduce you to their network. It's a snowball effect. Once you start, you can never stop because it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
What I realize every time I go to a networking event, I meet people and they always tell me about another event I should go to. And then you go to another event and they tell you about another event you should go to. And it's got this incredible, amplification effect where one event leads to another, to another, to another. And then you get inserted into all these communities, right? And I think today, in today's world, everything's about community. We all crave community. With everyone being on their phone all day and stuck on social media, people want to get out of that and get into real life community events in person. And I think everything becomes community-led growth nowadays. We used to be in a motion a couple of years ago where everything was outbound emails, cold campaigns. AI is killing that. And now everyone is craving in-person community. And so I think we're in the era of community-led growth. And everything's about community. So if you can tap into that as a business development person, as a startup founder, as a super connector, I think that's really exciting. I'm very excited to be part of loads of communities, to have our own community of super connectors and join others. And all these communities have overlap. You can be part of 20 communities and they all overlap with each other, which is great, and do joint events. I love to do in-person events. I think the opportunity is to do joint events with other community leaders. So we do a joint event for 2, 3, 4, or 5 communities all together. So I think that's very exciting. And you clearly tap into that, right?
Yes, because they blend together. So I always, since I was a little kid, I always loved, a multinationality because I was born in Italy, living in Slovakia, now doing business in the US for the last 8 years, traveling all over the world. So of course, I love people of nature, ethnicity, like everything. So if they blend together, it's super inclusive and it brings a new perspective on everything. You can just have a bunch of new friends from different groups of people. They might be rich, poor, whatever they can be. You can talk to different people. They have different perspective and view on life. And I wanted to add one more thing to the events that you were mentioning. Sometimes it's also fine to just take a rest because we super connectors put a lot of burden. It's not a burden in the true meaning, but we think that we always need to be like this, like super connected social butterflies. And then we sometimes, this is not your case, of course, you are super connector, but sometimes I end up, drained a little bit, and I need to, even though I'm an extroverted person, 100%, I need to just be at home. And sometimes when I go at an event and I don't feel like it because I just don't feel the atmosphere, sometimes I'm there alone for like 10 minutes, and then, it gets slowly, I slowly get into, I slowly get moving. I just need the time to how to say this,
To get in the zone,
to
right?
get
To
in
get in
this
the zone.
exactly. This is
Absolutely. Even for an extrovert, it doesn't mean you're extrovert 24/7. It's like, you have some moments where you have lots of social energy and social capital, but sometimes you feel tired, shy, exhausted, emotionally depleted. And then even if you're in a room full of people, you just want to be by yourself and no one's talking to you, it's like, okay, I'll just stand there for 2 minutes and then go home. And that's fine.
and that's perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
just don't place. I would recommend this to everyone watching this episode. Just don't put any burden on yourself. If you
Yeah.
don't feel like it, just go home, go to your hotel, unless you are there for one night just for that event and you traveled all the way from London to New York. Okay, that's a different case. You just need to overhaul this and you just have to get going, of course. But if you are in New York for 1 month and visiting from London, for example, Bratislava, you can skip one night. You can just be by yourself in Central Park. You can go grab a dinner just alone, all alone. So just be yourself. Just
Recharge your social batteries.
recharge your social
sometimes.
batteries, because
100%.
otherwise it's harmful for you.
You know what? Usually, when I travel to a different city, I want to maximize every minute of my time there, and I usually book literally 3, 4, 5 events back to back. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go to all 5. I go to the first event and just see how it goes. And if I'm bored, I just move on to the next one. If I'm super excited, have a super in-depth conversation, I might skip the 3 events after that and just stay there because I'm having such a good time. And it's finding that balance in between not having FOMO, fear of missing out of the other events you're missing, and enjoying the moment. And I think that's a golden rule in networking. Even if you only have one event, you're talking to one person, you might have FOMO that there's 10 more people you want to talk to. But on the other hand, you have to enjoy the moment, be in the present, be in the moment, enjoy that conversation you're having. Because if the person can sense and feel that you already want to talk to 10 more people just after that, they can sense that right away that you're not in the moment, you're not in the present. And then you're not enjoying it either because you're already thinking about the next conversation you're going to have. And so it's finding that balance between being in the present, enjoying the moment, and not having too much FOMO for the 5 other people you want to talk to, or the 10 more events you want to go to, or all of that, right? So again, it's all about balance in life. And there's no secret formula. There's no perfect golden rule. There isn't. I plan 5, 10 events a day, but I usually go to 1 or 2 depending on my mood. And you have to feel the moment, right? Be in the moment.
Especially during South by Southwest, it's pretty hard to attend every event during the day because there is like hundreds of events only in one day, in just one day.
Yeah.
But yes, you are 100% right. You have to follow this rule. People always feel this. This is super crazy because you don't realize until you talk about it loudly, because I could also feel it multiple times in my life that people were like this. Like they just keep saying something like, and they just watch someone else there, like behind you. You just sense it. The moment they start doing it, you just sense that you are not in the proper conversation. Then it's the best thing to end the conversation. You can just move on, and then maybe you will find the person in an hour. You can just continue the conversation afterwards, after they find whoever they wanted to find. Another rule that I have now that I didn't have before when I started with my networking activities way back. I'm an old man now. I was trying to get as many contacts as I could. Not for anyone. I was working for myself. I had my agency, I had my own businesses, and I was not just looking for clients for my companies. I just wanted to, it was in me. So I just wanted to make the connections. And I was like, oh, Dennis, you need to have at least 30 connections out of this conference because there is 150 people. So you have to have at least 1/3 or at least 30 contacts. And then I was pushing another burden, because this is like this syndrome of
the collector.
The collector syndrome.
As many contacts as
exactly.
possible.
But that's not. I was like this before, way before, way earlier. But now it's not like that. I just focus on a few conversations. I'm not even doing any special due diligence before I attend the event. So it's not like I'm studying everyone there and their email address and checking who is who. I just feel the moment. So I just follow my intuition when I'm at a conference. I just talk to a few people. If I end up having 8 business cards, it's fine. If only 3, it's fine because sometimes one person is much more than 200 business cards because it's a great super connector, great potential client, even a great friend. You might have found your next best friend at the event. That could also happen. So
Listen, quality over quantity for sure. Absolutely. No, I'm with you there. And it's not so much about whether that person is directly in a potential client. It's more about, they know people and they can open doors for you and you can open doors for them, right? And it's always about that. And same, I've got the same approach as you. I'm no longer a collector. I want to focus on quality, not quantity. I'd rather meet one amazing person, one super connector like yourself, than 10 people with random conversations which go nowhere, right? And so that's so important. And the reality is, I'm already at 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, which is the maximum. So I cannot add more connections. I can add more followers, but not connections. Meaning every time I meet someone in person, I want to add them as a connection on LinkedIn, I have to remove someone else from my LinkedIn, which is very frustrating. So meaning, even if I wanted to be a collector of contacts, I cannot, physically cannot. And so it's actually a good limit. It forces me to be even more picky about who I'm going to add as a connection on LinkedIn. So I think it's good that LinkedIn has that limit at 30,000. So for super connectors,
they know what they're doing.
yeah, it forces focus on quality. Let's go back to you, Dennis. So let me know, what is your priority this year? What is really important to you right now? What are you focusing your energy on? And where can I see you? Can I see you in London, in New York, in San Francisco, in Chicago, in Austin? Like, what's your next 12 months look like?
But I will be moving to New York this September, 99%. I won't be there full time because I need to work with European companies and bridging them with the US ecosystem. So I also have to spend some time in Europe as well. So I won't be living there full time. But I guess I will be spending 6 to 8 months in New York and in the US in general, and the rest in Europe probably. Maybe some vacation in Thailand, of course, or Asia is always a good idea, especially Tom Yum in Thailand. But yes, so people can find me usually on, somewhere in between the US and Europe. So this is definitely not just my biggest plan of this year, but my biggest plan of my whole.
Yeah. Right, it's a big life change, right? To move to US permanently. Because right now you fly back and forth. Now it's like about staying there, building a home there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Special place. As you know, it's a jungle. It's a concrete jungle and literal jungle of networking and people and everything on a few kilometers square. So this is my goal for this year, the main one. And as I changed my career, I switched it 2 or 3 years ago after I had my agency. So I was slowly building up I paid for 150 hours of business development coaching, 150 hours of personal coaching, 50 hours of psychology training. So I paid it from my own money to become better in business development, in work, in business, in building company from scratch, in expanding companies from the Europe to US. So now I will just be continuing to become better and better and better in this career. And I'm also now in the process of establishing my, let's call it an expansion agency. So I will want to focus on companies from Europe wanting to expand to US even more. I will have like 3 or 6 month programs that I will use to prepare the companies to better understand the US market. So I won't be just working in business development and attending lots of conferences because I'm not a jack of all trades. I can't work for 10 companies alone and have like 10 business cards and, oh, sorry, this is not the right one when you are giving someone at the conference. So I want to stabilize it a little bit and build a sustainable business out of it. So we probably gonna be 3 people at the beginning working for a few selected companies, helping them prepare to expand to United States. So we are launching this year, not tomorrow, but later this year probably, with me moving to US more permanent.
Very exciting. I mean, it's great that you're working on your personal development. I think as a super connector, it's all about psychology skills and being able to help others. So the more you develop yourself, your own psychology skills, your own business skills, your own relationship skills and sales skills, the more you can help others. And I think it's great that you spend all this time, money, and effort on your own personal development. It's super important. And I do the same. I do lots of retreats. I do lots of classes. I always want to learn, right? And that's really part of that journey to be a super connector, is to work on yourself, on improving your own, your own view of yourself, your own personal development, because then you can help others even more. So I love the fact you're focusing on that. And obviously congrats on building your own business there. As you said, everyone's got 10 business cards of different businesses they're working for. But nowadays, it's so common that everyone you meet has at least 3 different jobs, right? They're a fractional this, fractional that, and they've got skills in lots of different industries or different things. So I think we're moving nearly away from people who only have one job. It's very rare. Like everyone I meet is a startup founder, a consultant, an investor, a matchmaker, a recruiter. Like everyone does a bit of everything. And so I think the days of having one job at one company for many people, that's kind of a thing of the past. And now with AI replacing all our jobs, we all have to reinvent ourselves. And I think we're moving into this future where everyone's got 6 job titles and 6 different ways that can help you. I think it's exciting because you don't define yourself any more by your company or job title. You define yourself as how you can help others. Right? If you meet someone, I can help you with this, and I'm a super connector. Tell me what introduction I could make for you, right? That's the kind of conversation you have instead of saying, my job title is this, I work for this company. That's a thing of the past, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. I mean, you also have to follow, if you have a full-time job, for example, you also can establish like a beer brewery. Like you could do whatever you want. Like you can have multiple side jobs. You just need to be sure that you can actually give the projects the love they need, because of course if you don't, if you deteriorate,
yeah, if the quality of your service goes down,
so you really have to focus on all of the projects that they get the same amount of love, so they actually
flourish.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the ultimate side hustle in the future is being a super connector. That is ultimately the ultimate side hustle, because whatever you do, you can always connect people and help them achieve whatever they want to achieve by connecting them to the right people. And that person might be yourself or it could be someone else, but it's always a connection, right? It comes down to human connection.
We all do have them. Like one person can have like 10 connections, but the other 100 connection, another 1,000 connection, but we all do have some kinds of connection. You also have a doctor. Your mother can be, I don't know, like a doctor, I don't know, whatever. But we all do have connections at times, at all times.
Everyone knows people. We all know people. We can all be a super connector. So on that, Dennis, tell us, where can people follow your adventures? Where they can follow you? Where are they going to find you? Tell us more. Where they should look for you? I guess LinkedIn, your website. Tell us more.
So I have sudden bursts of energy on my LinkedIn from time to time. So sometimes I'm like super active there. And then I have times like now, for example, for the past few months that I only posted, I think 2 or 3 posts. I have 12K followers and connections. So I'm not where you are currently, but getting there. So LinkedIn would be a great place. I'm still active there. I mean, I get messages, etc. So I reply, of course. I'm just not active in terms of, creating new content right now. This might change tomorrow, so stay tuned. I have my own website, dennisfino.com, so that's pretty an easy one. And I'm also a member of various, groups like slovakpro.org. So I'm also part of the team there, head of marketing, helping Slovak diaspora, Slovak professional diaspora. And of course, people can find me at all of the events as usual. But yes, LinkedIn and my website would be the best channels probably. Also, I try to put some of my work-related stuff to my Instagram, but I'm not promoting it. I didn't switch my Instagram profile to be my career profile or anything like that. I just sometimes put some, like back-end things there, backstage content there. So Instagram might be a good idea as well.
To get to know you.
To get to know me like personally.
Exactly.
It's what I like and what I do.
I mean, really, it's about inspiring the next generation. Like young people right now are trying to find purpose, how they could become a super connector, how they could come from a small city in Eastern Europe and become a global super connector in the US and the UK. It's a very inspiring journey. And I hope, your story is going to inspire many more people to follow your footsteps, become super connectors themselves, and join our community of super connectors so they can, start launching their own events, their own communities, and really make the world a better place by connecting people, right?
Exactly. I wouldn't have said it better. This is what I want. This is
Awesome. Dennis, thank you so much. Really enjoyed our conversation. Always good to catch up with you from Austin at South by Southwest to in the studio in London. And I'm sure next time we'll probably be in New York. I'm excited to see you there.
Or in Bali or
In
New
Bali,
Zealand. You never know.
or anywhere
Thanks
else.
for having me.
Yeah,
Mike.
we're both global super connectors and travelers. Dennis, so nice to see you on this show. And thanks again for coming to London to record this episode, especially with me. I really appreciate it. Great. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, you can also become a super connector yourself or join our community of super connectors on introstars.com.